Alright, welcome back. So this assignment is called Call of the Wild. Of course, we've changed it to a different book. We've got An Underground History of American Education by John Taylor Gatto. It's an excellent book, which I highly recommend. And so we can see at the very top here, we've got a title, which looks pretty good. Let's see, we got this one pulled up. Yeah, so you can see up here, we got the title at the very top, An Underground History. You can't see the whole thing. But notice down here at the bottom, we have all this text. And just like I was talking about in the last video, you may not have expected it to look like this because it looks like the code that I put in here looks like it should come out in this type of format. But remember, formatting is something you actually have to code into your program if you want it to come out the way that you want it to. So what we're going to do is we're going to be using level 1, 2, 3, and 4 headers, and we'll also be using horizontal lines. That's the HR tag, and then we're also going to be italicizing the name of the author, which in this case is John Taylor Gatto. So in this, we're going to start here at the top, and I'm going to give myself a little space in here. That doesn't need to be indented like that, but whatever, this is okay as is. Now, what I do like though is you can see I've got my HTML tag, which closes on line 22, starts on line 2. The head tag starts on line 3 and ends on line 5. And then there's a little indentation there for the title as well, and that's okay. Now, I've mentioned this before. I like to have the title on a new line, and then the closing of a tag that goes with it indented to the same indentation level as its original calling out of that tag, in this case the title tag. So I prefer to see it like this, but most people don't care, and they're okay with it being on one line. So if you didn't change that, it's not going to make any difference. You're still going to get credit. But down here, I'm going to keep. I'm going to show you guys what you can do, and then I'm going to show you how I do it. Again, I think the way that I do it is even considered not proper coding etiquette, but I don't care. It helps me to keep track of which tags I'm using and what's inside the tag. Okay, so again, the first thing I would like is a little space between common tags, tag levels or indentation levels, because remember the head is kind of a branch of the HTML and the body is in the same level branch if you look at a coding tree. But I now have the title of the book, An Underground History of American Education. We want this to be a level 1 heading, so watch this. I'm going to put in H1, and as I close this, it's going to give me the closing of that level 1 heading tag, which I don't want right there, right? So you can put it right here. You can say close of my H1 tag right here with your angle brackets. And now we can go to the website, reload it, and you see An Underground History of American Education is a level 1 heading, which is different than the other stuff down here. Well, again, we haven't coded it so that the other text in the code, this stuff right here, we have not coded it so that it has its own separate format. Okay, now this code right here is generally what people will do. But again, I prefer to have the tag on its own line and then the closing of the tag on its own line with the same indentation level as the beginning or opening of the tag. And then you can see the text that's inside that tag is now indented, showing me a very clear visual of the code, where the tag is, and the stuff that's inside the tag. In this case, the title of the book, An Underground History of American Education. Now, usually, again, some people are going to be kind of lax about this, and they're going to say, well, look at this one right here. We're going to make this a level 2 heading right here by John Taylor Gatto. And then they'll come down here, kind of like I've done already, and they'll say, well, we're going to close that level 2 heading like this. But again, like I said, I have my level 1 heading right here, and I just want an empty line of code in between the level 1 heading and the start of the level 2 heading. And again, this is just a Mr. Southing, so if you don't do any of this stuff, you're still going to get credit. And again, I've got by John Taylor Gatto. I would want this to be indented a little bit further to show that it's inside of that level 2 heading tag. Excuse me. So, let's give ourselves a little bit of space down there too. And let's take a look at what this looks like now if I reload this page. So again, I see by John Taylor Gatto. Like I said, what we need to do is go into the code. And now I need to do an emphasis tag on John Taylor Gatto. So watch this. I'm gonna go down, and again, the emphasis tag that I'm putting in is inside of my level 2 header. So it's indented right there. And if I put the close of my emphasis tag in, I'll just put it below like this, and indent by John Taylor Gatto like this. Now watch this. So as I reload this, now you saw the change there. It became italicized for John Taylor Gatto. That's what the emphasis tag, the EM tag, does in the code. But notice the emphasis tag is inside the level 2 heading, which is pretty much saying, well, we've got an emphasis on the level 2 heading, or inside of the level 2 heading. But what I can do actually is switch these. So if I put my emphasis tag on this at the beginning, and then I say, what am I going to emphasize? Well, I'm going to emphasize my level 2 heading, and then I switch these down here as well. And yes, you saw there the H2 was in red. That's because it's saying there's an error. You got a level 2 heading, but it's in the wrong place. This is not going to change. So look, watch this. I'm going to come back to my website right here. Okay, so that did not change anything. And so the order may not matter depending on what you're doing, right? We're emphasizing the level 2 heading, which is by John Taylor Gatto. Or like we had it before, we have a level 2 heading, and then we emphasized it inside this text by John Taylor Gatto. But again, the output never changed. So keep that in mind as you do these. There are some times where you're going to be like, yeah, I need this to be in a certain location, a tag to be in a certain location. But you saw the way that I have this formatted, it's actually not going to make a difference, and you're still going to get credit either way. So that is working. Now I'm going to come down to my table of contents. Since I have a level 2 heading, table of contents is going to be a level 3 heading. Okay, so there's my end of level 3 heading, which I don't want right there. I go to my table of contents at the end, and I will close my level 3 heading, and now I'm going to indent my table of contents. Let's see what this looks like. Reload, and again, you can see the difference between level 1, 2, and 3 headings. Now, this is not all we're going to do with the table of contents, but before I get in, before I do that, we need formatting for all these chapters, all 7 of them. Okay, now what we're going to end up doing is we're going to make all of these level 4 headings, so H4s, and I have one for the beginning. Okay, so there's that right there. And I have the close of my level 4 heading like this. So again, let's see what that looks like on the web page. There's chapter 1, a nation from the bottom up. That's my level 4 heading right there. And that looks really good. Okay, now since I'm still on the level 4 heading, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the next line, and I'm just going to put in my level 4 heading next, because again, there's some formatting in the code. And since I'm still on level 4 headings, I don't mind putting this right below without a line break in my code. So you'll keep that in mind as you do this kind of stuff. Do what's best for you and put your tags where you want to put the tags, okay? So I put that in and I reload this. Reload it, there we go. Reload, and you can see it's now made chapter 2 a level 4 heading as well. All right, so going back to the code though, before I do the rest of those chapters and make them level 4 headings, and by the way, there is a shortcut to this, but for credit, you have to actually make all 7 of the chapters level 4 headings. And again, you're going to be doing a different book, so if you're expecting this to look exactly the same, don't. But the code should look pretty much exactly the same. So what they want here is between by John Taylor Gatto and the table of contents, and then also after the table of contents they want this horizontal line. So you can't see it here because I've not coded it into the program. That's because of course everything has to be coded in. So I need a line above table of contents, a horizontal line, and I need one after it. So I come back to my code. Here's my table of contents. It's a level 3 heading, and I'm going to give myself a new line right here. And this is just a horizontal row HR. Now again, I'm giving myself some space there so I can see it by itself. And a horizontal row is kind of like a line break, the BR tag, where I don't need a closing to it, because as I do this, watch this. If I come back to my page and say, let's reload this, it's just saying this is where it goes. It's not like it begins anywhere or ends anywhere specific. Just in the window, wherever it is, and if I were to make this smaller, let's see if I can do that. If I were to make this smaller, you see the line kind of just goes wherever I need it to go. So I'll have to keep that in mind. Not all tags will require a close. But again, it should make sense that it shouldn't need a close for it as well. So there's my table of contents. Now after my table of contents, I will also have another HR horizontal row, horizontal line. And if I go back to my web page and reload this, I can see it show up again. So the last thing I need to do is just make all of the chapters their own level 4 heading. So let's go ahead and do that. H4, and we don't need the close there. And then we will close this line though. And it's almost plug and chug at this point. Put in your level 4 heading. Now for the next line, level 4 heading, open, close it. But again, put the close in the proper location. Here /H4. I may be doing this differently and maybe even not the most efficient way, but it is going to work either way. Let's just check what we got. I got 3 more chapters to do, but let's just make sure that's working. Yeah, everything looks pretty good. So then I can come back here and put in more level 4 headings for each of the chapters. Suppose you could probably use copy and paste at this point. Oh, I almost forgot to take out that closing angle bracket. /H4, next line, H4. And this one is for chapter 6, The Lure of Utopia, /H4, close angle brackets. There we go. Oh, this one, like what I did on chapter 5, I indented it too far. So again, when it was indented like this, I noticed that because it caught my eye. And again, it's just a visual thing. That's the nice thing of having your formatting consistent that way. So we have level 4. Close that level 4 heading. So we're going to do opening level 4 heading here. And then let's go ahead and close it here at the end. /H4. Whoops. There we go. All right. Save it. Now let's go ahead and look at the website here, reload, and everything looks like it should. So this is looking good. This is all of our code. This is the bottom of the code. Again, here's the top. Again, and of course, I have coded it possibly very different than what you're going to be seeing or expecting to see. But again, even if you do it that different way, you're still going to get full credit. If you do it the same way that I've done it, you will still get full credit. And again, here's the bottom of my code, just in case you need it. All right, thanks for watching, you guys. We'll see you in the next one.